Hey Watchers, it's Wednesday, and it's Face Week. Woo. You're probably wondering why I have these dots on my face, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. So, give me just a second to actually gather my thoughts. Earlier in the week, Ross and Jamie both drew something, I think. Well, I know Jamie drew something, which was pretty neat and silly. I thought it was awesome. Best video yet. So I'm probably going to have a hard time topping that, but I'm still going to do my best, which is not going to be drawing because I can't draw, so I'm just going to talk about faces. Today I looked up an article from Psychology Today that talks about face shape and how it interacts with how people feel about us and talk to us and look at us and how we do in life because of the shape of our face. So you probably all heard about stuff like masculine faces, which make guys look more attractive or give them the impression of being qualified to do work that they may not be qualified to do, or being smarter, or being more capable for leadership, which in some cases can be true. But you can't just make generalizations because a guy has a jaw shaped like a shovel, which would be pretty awesome. But one of the things from the article is actually quantifying the shape of somebody's face, which is called width to height ratio. These dots are supposed to represent the width of my face, which is from cheekbone to cheekbone, and height of my face, which is mid-brow to the top of my lip. Now, I actually did the calculations, which was dividing the height by the width, and I got something like 1.375. So I'll round that up to 1.4. When you compare that to other people that you may, from history, you get people like Bill Clinton, who has a pretty big face in general. He actually has a ratio of 2 point something, like 2.9, which is supposedly really large because a big face is supposed to be something like 1.9. And you have, Richard Nixon, who has something like a 2.02. And then you have smaller ones like John Lennon and George Washington. So, you get, a pretty wide mix in there in like historical figures and stuff. But there is a really consistent bit of data concerning stuff like aggression and criminals and behavior, which is kind of cool, I guess. Criminals and aggressive people tend to have really high width to height ratios. And it's kind of striking because women can identify more aggressive men almost instantaneously depending on the shape of their face. The research says it took about, on average, within like 39 milliseconds to identify who's more aggressive based on a headshot, which is pretty amazing. That's less than instantaneously on like a daily interaction basis. So you're basically being profiled by everybody that you meet. More research from the article says that a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs and stuff like that, Fortune 1000 CEOs tend to have wider width to height ratios. So we can't really draw too many conclusions from that when we try to draw, a line from criminality and aggression to CEOs. Of course, we all like to make those kinds of generalizations, but I'm not going to get into that. But that's just some of the data that the article talks about. I really think that you should read into it if you want to do extra research beyond what I read. I kind of just skimmed through it, to be honest. But I thought it was really cool. So, if you really want to find out your width to height ratio and you're a guy, because that's what this research is for, it's testosterone and face shape and all that stuff, try it out in the mirror, draw the dots, measure it, and do the division. You should get a pretty accurate reading, and you can think whatever you want about the figure that you get. But I think that it's really interesting food for thought, and it was a desperate cry for help since I can't draw. Anyway, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and don't forget to send us in prompts for every week that you want. Cool. Next up is Andy, and she's probably going to draw too, so I bet that's going to be lots of fun. And I'll see you guys next week.